Hello everyone. Today I want us to look at a very important topic in phonology that is called phonological rules. So when you're looking at phonological rules, we are just looking at how sounds change in different what context within a language. So these sounds that we have, they are actually going to sound different, or they are going actually to come out in a different way because of the environment where we are going to actually put them. So there are certain rules that are going actually to be applied as to why these sounds are going to actually change, actually trying to sound different in certain what environments or in certain contexts that we are actually going to put them, or we are going to find them. So the first type of phonological rule that we actually look at is assimilation. Assimilation, this one is actually coming from the word similar. It is coming from the word similar, meaning what we are looking at here is a sound becomes more like a neighboring sound in terms of like the phonetic features of that sound. So for example, in meaning not, for example, impossible, for example, impossible, inbox. So meaning this in is going to actually change to im when it is actually coming before or preceded by p or b. That is what we are looking at. So for example, in impossible, impossible instead of impossible instead of impossible. So we are going to have impossible instead of impossible. Yeah, so that is what we are looking at. So there will be that assimilation of actually wanting to actually sound like the next sound that is actually coming after or before that what that sound. So that is what we call assimilation. And then the second one is what we call dissimilation. The second one is what we call dissimilation. So when we are looking at dissimilation, a sound becomes less like a neighboring what? A neighboring sound. So this one now it will be, this means different. So this, when we are saying this, meaning we are contrasting, meaning they should be actually different. So meaning a sound becomes less like a neighboring what is sound. For example, we have the sound fifth. Fifth sometimes is actually presented as this fist. It will be different in the way it is going to be at to be pronounced. So we are actually going to have that dissimilation between the sounds that we have in that word, in that word. And then we also have what we call insertion. So when we are looking at insertion is just the adding of a sound, adding of a what? Of a sound inside what? Inside the what? The word. The addition of a sound inside the word. For example, in our local language, this is actually clear and very well what? Um, um, very well stipulated, and you can actually see what we call insertion happening. For example, we have in English the word plot, and then in Bemba we have the word plotty. Are you getting? So meaning there is actually insertion of this one. There is also the insertion of who of this letter, which is the e. Because here, what we have in our local languages, we don't have actually this one, a consonant and a consonant following each other. And we don't have actually a word in Bemba that ends with a consonant. So what we are going to do is we are going actually to put p, u, and then like that, meaning puloti, to mean that we have inserted or an addition of a sound between two other what sound, or at the end of the word of that word. Yeah. So that is what we are looking at to be insertion. It is also called empathesis. And then also we have what we call deletion. We also have what we call deletion. So deletion is just the deleting of a sound, removing it from where? From a word. The deletion of a sound or removing of a what? Of a sound. For example, when we have, for example, often, some people say often, meaning there is that deletion that is actually taking place. Are you getting what we are saying? For example, this same sound that we are given there, soften. Some people will say often like that. So that is what we have. So meaning we are going to actually delete certain sounds as we are going to pronounce these words. For example, we have receipt, but it is receipt. So this one is deleted. This here there, it is what it is deleted because what we say is this receipt. What we say is this receipt. That is what we say, but in the actual sense, it is like that. So that is what we are looking at. So when we are looking at deletion, a sound is deleted from where? From the word. That is what we look at. And then we also have what we call metathesis. Metathesis is actually the changing of the order of what? Of the sound in a word. So the change of the order of the what? The sound in a what? In a word. For example, we have ask. We are going to, when you say this one first, you are going to say ask. So that is what we have. We have actually the order of this word changing, the order of the sounds changing due to what? Due to actually what we call metathesis, the rules that we follow. Sometimes when you are fast, you tend to actually pronounce it like that. When you are slow, you tend to actually pronounce it the other way around. That is what we are looking at on metathesis. And these are other examples from local languages that we, local languages and also English and other languages that we do what that we have. Then we also have another phonological rule that is strengthening. That is strengthening. So when we look at strengthening, strengthening is what we also call fortition. Strengthening is also what we call fortition. So here is where a sound becomes strengthening is stronger. Are you getting the sound becomes what is stronger? For example, let's take this example, top and what is stop. So top and stop. So when we look at this sound here, it is actually aspirated. It is actually produced with that puff of the air. So that is what we can see from here, meaning it is actually aspirated, meaning it is produced with that puff of air. And then now when we look at this one, when we say stop, here it is not that much strengthened as compared to this is an aspirated, in short, this one, this sound which is this here. So meaning this one is not aspirated, it is actually unaspirated. So that is what we are looking at. And then this one, it is actually aspirated in the sense that it is produced with that puff of the air that we are looking at. So that is strengthening. So a certain sound is going to be given that power due to the environment where it is going to find itself. And then we also have what we call weakening or lenition. So when we are looking at weakening or lenition, what we are looking at is where a sound is what is actually becomes weak, or actually it is actually becomes less what distinct. So what we are looking at here is for example, the sound T in butter is often pronounced as a flap. This one as a flap, this sound, which is a flap in American what English, making it weaker than the sound, the regular sound that we actually know to say this is an aspirated sound, which is a high sound, but it is going to be what? To be weakened. So that is what we call weakening. Weakening. That is what we call weakening. These neutralization, they are not that important, but let's look at neutralization just to actually know something, what it means to say neutralization. So when we are looking at neutralization, what we are looking at is actually a distinctive feature of sound that looks at the losing. Distinctive features of sounds are lost in certain what context, making them what unrecognizable in discrete, something that we cannot actually identify, something that we cannot actually look at. For example, when we look at in English, the sound t and the sound d. This one are often neutralized in flapping what context. For example, in writer, we cannot actually get this sound, or in rider, we cannot actually get this sound. Da, da. We cannot actually get it. So when we have actually that neutralization of certain sounds that we actually find in different what environments, that is what we call neutralization. So these are some of the what we call the phonological rules that we have in what in phonology. So there are phonological rules that we do what we have in phonology, and those are the phonological rules that we do have in what in phonology. That is what we are looking at. So thank you very much. If you have not actually subscribed, make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel so that whenever I post a video, you are notified to say give